On the 8th of the Jewish month of Ab, in late July 70 AD, Titus, the son of the Roman Emperor Vespasian, who was in command of the 4-month siege of Jerusalem, ordered his entire army to prepare to storm the temple at dawn. A total of 60,000 Roman legionaries and local auxiliaries were eager to deliver the final blow to the defiant but broken city. Within the walls, 500,000 starving Jews survived in diabolical conditions. Some were fanatical religious zealots, some were freebooting bandits, but most were innocent families with no escape from this magnificent death trap. This final desperate struggle would decide not only the fate of the city and her inhabitants. The Romans had built ramps up against the walls of the temple, but their assaults had failed. Titus told his generals that his efforts to preserve this foreign temple were costing him too many soldiers, and he ordered the temple gates set alight. The silver of the gates melted and spread the fire to the wooden doorways, windows, and fittings within, thence to wood piled in the passageways of the temple itself. Titus ordered the fire to be quenched. The Romans, he declared, should not avenge themselves on inanimate objects instead of men. Then he retired for the night into his headquarters in the half-ruined Tower of Antonia, overlooking the resplendent temple complex. Around the city walls, there were gruesome scenes that must have resembled hell on earth. In the preceding months, Titus had ordered all prisoners or defectors to be crucified. 500 Jews were crucified each day. The Mount of Olives and the craggy hills around the city were so crowded with crucifixes that there was scarcely room for any more, nor trees to make them. Thousands of bodies putrefied in the sun, and the stench was unbearable. Dogs and jackals feasted in packs. Many Jerusalemites, as they escaped, swallowed their coins to conceal their treasure. They emerged, swelled like men with dropsy, but if they ate, they burst asunder. As their bellies exploded, the soldiers discovered their reeking intestinal treasure troves, so they started eviscerating all prisoners while they were still alive. Titus tried to ban these anatomical plunderings, but the cruelties inflicted by the Romans and the rebels within the walls compare with some of the worst atrocities of the 20th century.
Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praise to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. I want to give double honors to the Apostle of GREATMILLSTONE for teaching the truth by using precepts upon precepts and line upon line. In this lesson, I want to get into today is about the abomination of desolation. Okay, because that day was the day when Jerusalem was being ransacked by Romans. Okay, and the reason why it was called abomination of desolation was because the Romans, when the Romans was ransacking Jerusalem and destroying everything, they went inside the temple where the Levites would, do sacrificing and, talk to the Lord, Yahweh. They defiled that temple and did a lot of abominable things. All right. And that's why it was called the abomination, and why it was called of desolation, because obviously they destroyed everything around it. They destroyed the temple, they destroyed the Jerusalem, they destroyed everything. That's why that day was called the abomination of desolation, or 70 AD abomination of desolation, because that happened in 70 AD, right? So let's get into scriptures to bring more information out. If you go to Luke chapter 21, verse 20, it was being prophesied. It says, "And when ye see Jerusalem compassed with armies," because that was the day when the Romans actually surrounded Jerusalem, "then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." Talking about the abomination desolation. The destruction has actually come near. The prophecy of abomination desolation that was prophesied in Matthew chapter 22, verse 15, and the book of Daniel. Because Yahawashi did prophesy this. Well, going back, it says, Luke chapter 21, verse 20, it says, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation therefore is nigh," means it's coming near. 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein too. All right, and that scripture was telling you, saying that the people that's in Judea, let them flee, or people that's not near Judea, don't come near, because abomination desolation that day was like a hell. Romans came down, was slaughtering people, slaughtering kids, destroying buildings, putting place on fire, destroying the walls. All right, it was a day of just hell. All right, that's why the scripture was like, "Oh, flee away to the mountains of West Africa," or if you're not in it, don't come near it, because it's gonna be hectic. All right, verse 22. For these be the day of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. All right, and that day was fulfilled. 70 A.D. Jerusalem being destroyed by who? By the Romans. It also continues that in the first Maccabees. It literally explains more. So let's read that. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 20. And after Antiochus, he was actually the leader of the army of the Romans that surrounded Jerusalem. So after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in 140 in the third year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. And that was the time nigh when abomination desolation was about to come to pass. Verse 21, it entered proudly into the sanctuary and took all the golden altars and candlesticks of light and all the vessels thereof. All right, so he stepped foot in the sanctuary, defiled it, and took everything out of it, making it what? An abomination. Verse 22, and the tables of the shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vial, and the censers of gold, and vial, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. Verse 23, he took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. So in the day of the abomination desolation, he also was doing massacre upon the children of Israel, slaughtering, killing kids, killing every Jake, and put them in captivity in that day, and spoken very proudly about it. And the Romans, or Esau Edom, was very proudly in that day. All right. Verse 25, therefore there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were. So the princes and the elder mourned, the virgins, young men were made feeble, and the beauty of woman was changed. Every bridegroom took a lamentation, meaning mourning, there was lamenting. And she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. Why? Because Jerusalem was ransacked and was destroyed, and the temple was defiled by Esau Edom. They defiled it by putting idols, putting down pigs, animals, abominable pigs inside of it. The temple was defiled and they destroyed it. All right, and that was the abomination of desolation. And I know this was like a quick lesson, but Lord, well, you was edified by it. But the prophecy of this coming to pass was in Matthew chapter 20:15, when YAHAWASHI was prophesying of Jerusalem's downfall. It was in the States. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, because Daniel the prophet was the one who prophesied it too, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Telling YAHAWASHI was saying, watch, because that day is going to be a gruesome day. And it was a gruesome day. All right. And I will put a video above, I'll put a video above to show you how it went. So you can have a good imagery of what happened of 70 AD, abomination of desolation. All right, because that was the day when Esau Edom went in the temple, defiled it, and destroyed Jerusalem. But that was a quick lesson. Lord will use edified. I want to give all praise to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, for giving me spirit to this lesson. I want to give double honor to the apostle of GREATMILLSTONE for teaching the truth by using precept upon precepts and line upon line. Shalom.